Right. So we are live on Facebook, on the Facebook pages, and we're live on Zoom. I'm sorry, live on YouTube. We got a new friend that hasn't been on here before, beloved sister by the name of Jennifer Peters, makes a lot of videos. I admire that, and I like her energy and I like her message. So we're going to get her up here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and play the intro just so we can give people a little bit more time to come in. If these shows resonate with you, please share as we're getting hammered as usual on the algorithms on both YouTube and Facebook, but that's okay. We have a solution. We're working on that solution. Be right back. Jennifer Peters in the house. Slight error. Hang on one second. We're going to get her up here in just a second. Hang on a second. And no, that's not Garanzina. That was yesterday's show. Hang on. Let me fix it real quick. In fairness to Jennifer, I'm going to bring her up in just a second. Let me just edit this post real quick. And I'll go fix the rest of them after. A little bit of tech difficulties. That's on me. Looks like we're having a little problem on YouTube as well. I don't see it. I don't see it showing up. What in the hell? All right. We'll just get out of this. Well, God dang it. Can I do this? Yes. Hang on one second. Sorry about this, folks. Just give me 1 second. Okay. I got thrown off my routine. Okay, here we go. All right, back. All right, let's pull her up here now. Enough of this playing around. Jennifer Peters, Canada. We're going to find out about her. Let's see. Sorry about the delay. Okay, there you go. Jennifer. Hang on, let me unmute you. What's happening?
We did it. We figured it out.
I totally effed it up. Totally.
No, I was just like, it wouldn't. I had some computer issues earlier. I'm just like, this would not be surprising with just how it goes. But I'm so happy that we're getting this chance to meet and
Yeah.
face and connect.
It's good to meet you. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you.
I love what you do out there. I'm, I have this soft spot for people that put a lot of videos out because it takes a lot of balls. It does, and there's something about the visual with the audio, with the voice, and then your visuals are pretty incredible. It's part of the reason I wanted to figure out what are you doing. There's like you and maybe 4 or 5 other people I can think of that either take still pictures or videos or both that seem to be able to capture stuff other people can't, So.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you know what? It's changing over the past couple of years too, that I've started to really see what's coming up and what's showing itself to me. So myself, it's like I'm on this journey of the light and how it's presenting itself to me, because I am also, raising in my frequency and my vibration. And so therefore the light is going to come through and stream through differently. And, being the crystals that we are, and opening through the portal of our heart. And then we're just vibrating that energy and that light and life differently as well. So it's sometimes I feel a little silly because I sit there with the camera and the phone, and just I'm waiting to see what shows up, because my mind gets blown by these energetic beings and these faces and how the light dances. And it's such a blessing though, and it's such a gift, and it's this most simple gift that brings so much joy and love into my heart. And it's incredible.
How did you get started doing that? Were you told to do that? Were you just knew to do it? How long you been doing it? How long you been doing that? And if
Honestly,
just so everybody knows what we're talking about, it's 1:11 on the East Coast. I'm using East Coast time, but so Jennifer makes these videos, and she puts the camera generally on her face. Her face is in the camera, and then there's different types of activity, right? And then you talk sometimes as well. You have messages sometimes as well. So how long have you been doing that?
I would, you know what, it probably started about a year ago, with the light work. Definitely been on, my path here for many, many years, and always known since I was a young child at 5 that our reality is not what it seems. But with the light, it really started to come in, I would say last May is when I was first shown something. And I honestly, I used to travel for work all the time, and I would take selfies because I go to these really beautiful places. And all of a sudden, as I'm holding the camera up to take the selfie, all of a sudden I see this light start to stream down my face, and it made the first one were these hearts. So that's really sort of this introduction of, the light was shining down, and it was giving these hearts, and then it was just sort of full on from there. And changing throughout. So how the light played with me last year, it was very dancing, and I could listen to music. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos, but I'm grooving to the music just in my own space, and the lights. It's almost like I have my own laser show. If you go to a concert, how the lighting trusses are rigged up to go in time to the beat. And so it's just filtering through my system and through my crystal core that way. And then this past year, it's changed again. So where it's more of the magenta ray, the crown is coming up here. So going into that 8th chakra, and opening, and then those downloads coming through. So what I do when I'm connecting in is always I primarily hold the frequency for the Divine Mother, unconditional love, compassion, grace, and that's what I connect into, and that's what I aim. It's not an aim, but that's really what I send out and I channel out. So I'm always opening up my crown, opening up my heart, and just pushing my heart out as much as I can. And so in those light codes, there definitely are activations that are happening if you choose to connect in with it. And I'm even surprised with what shows up sometimes, like different light beams appear, different sparks appear, different color coding appears. But that's just also resonating and showing the frequency that we're also at collectively as well. Yeah. So it's that collective energy with this energy and then coming out.
Yeah. And I've hit up, there's like 3, 4, 5 people I know that do primarily photos, and they just capture the most amazing stuff, man. I mean, it's like, and the crazy thing is, when I started the studio a few years ago, on the videos that I would do in the studio and outside too, and a lot of the pictures I took, because I did a lot of selfies because I was trying to promote, get Soulgy out there. And but there was a lot of different light activity. There
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of gold there on the old videos. You can see it. I never really thought about it at the time, and it doesn't happen a lot to me anymore. Which
Yeah.
maybe I did something bad. I don't know, but these other people like you, they seem to have certain. And there's even another lady that sends Morgan videos in her room, like in her house, and she'll
Yeah.
just like take the pan the room, and there's all these orbs going everywhere.
Yeah.
So and I just wonder what that is. To me, it seems like that it's coming from the person, like whether it's actually coming from the inside out, or it's aspects of that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
It's something's going on, because how does that happen? How does some
Yeah.
people do that? You know,
For me, and with the colors and just like we have the seven rays, right? Like the seven rays of creation. And when we're embodying and holding all of those seven rays within us, we're shining those seven rays out. And so that's again sort of that crystal aspect, right? Like we're losing this carbon form and
mm,
we're becoming crystalline in structure, silica in structure. And through so we are these prisms. We hold the
yeah,
light.
yeah.
And as we hold these different, the wisdom, the unconditional love, all of the different seven offices of the light, if you will, that's really when we start to shine. But the orbs really started coming forward for me in February, I would say. So that's when they
So
started
this
to,
is all like in the last 12 months. So you're
yeah,
coming out, so to speak, uh, has kind of stepped in line, stepped side by side with the expansion that we're all having. I mean,
mhm.
like it sounds like it's accelerated in 2020. You
Yes,
know,
very much so.
yeah,
I've always had visitors.
yeah. I want to
I've
get to
always
that. I mean, because yeah. So like,
an
yeah,
energy, but just so I ended up moving. So I was living in Vancouver, BC,
I
and
remember. Yeah, I remember that. I
this
remember.
whole
Yeah,
crazy stuff happened where I was supposed to be traveling. I was supposed to be in Arkansas. I thought I was going to be living in Eureka
Arkansas.
Springs.
That's where
Yeah.
I'm at. That's where we're at. We're in Arkansas.
I know. I was going to ask you about that. And
Yeah,
huge, magical,
and there's people coming here, and it's
Mhm.
weird. And like somebody sent me the picture of from the book of Enoch, of this dove, and the heart is Arkansas. And then I saw this other lady that we met that lives here,
Yeah.
that reached out to us when we we're in California, and she has a book she just read, and it goes back to like the biblical days, and it
Mm.
talks about the Ark of the Covenant being secreted over to Arkansas. I don't know.
Wow.
Something's going on. So
Totally.
you were gonna travel. You were gonna come to Arkansas. You were in Vancouver, which is a hot area. There's a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
people over there that are turned on. That whole area is. And so where did you end up going?
So I ended up I ended up not traveling and going with this person and blessing in disguise because I've been ready to leave Vancouver for quite a while. So I had nowhere to go. So I ended up going to my parents' house
Mm,
for a couple of months as they were in Mexico and especially during this whole lockdown and everything. So,
mm.
and now I'm in a place called the Okanagan. So sorry, there we are, the South Okanagan. So it's about
Where's
5 hours away from Vancouver.
okay,
So I'm 20 minutes from the U.S. border right now.
okay.
And this is the tip of the Sonoran Desert, and it's on the same ley line as Mount Shasta. This is a very energetic, highly active area in and of itself. This
Mm,
is sacred ancient land here.
mm.
And I'm getting chills.
Wow, I'm getting chills, and I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
and, and once
But
I came back here, because I lived here for a little bit before I moved back to Vancouver, but I was about an hour and a half away. And so when I was staying at my parents is when everything started to happen with the orbs and the beings. So where I would get
wow.
visitors and things showing up for me in Vancouver, like I'm going to say frequently or
Hmm.
regularly,
Hmm.
here it's been every day. And this is when the orbs started to appear. So You know, my feeling is I do have a sacred connection from the past with this land. It's shown up.
Yeah.
Part of what happened right at the end of my time in Vancouver, one of my visitations that I had at night, there was this energy outside that was sweeping the doorway. It was banging all the doors, and then I heard this rain stick going back and forth. It lasted for about 4 hours. So I've been getting this call from like the indigenous lands and the people, hearing the drumming at night, you know, the hand drumming being playing, and coming here. And I was walking this one path along the creek, and I just started doing toning. So toning came into me last summer, where I just opened, it's just almost, you know, this sound. It's not light language as such, but it's toning. And
Can you
I was
do it?
walking.
Can you do it? Can you do it? I mean, oh, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just wondering, does it just come in, or do you try to do it?
It comes in.
Yeah.
And it comes in with music, and it comes in with drumming. So this is
Okay.
where, for me, it's going
Yeah.
back to past life, and being a healer, and I say that a matriarch of the land, and I know that's happened here, and that's why also Morocco is super powerful for me.
Hmm.
But here, since that February 1st, I went for this walk, or February 3rd, and then I just felt this presence. I so connected in. And then every day thereafter, I was being left gifts at my parents' house. So sand piles, lights started coming. There's like something started making noises. So every day since about February 3rd, I've been having knocking, just create like crazy stuff all the time. But that's also when the orb started to show up.
Are you connected to the elders, the Sasquatch?
Yeah.
I figured. And other elementals?
I've had more elementals appear for me in fairies in Vancouver. So I would have fairies flying in my loft there. They sound like little mini helicopter drones when they
Wow.
would be going through. And, but definitely I've been called to work more so with the land. For me, I've always been, whoa, pardon me. For me, I've always been so up in here that I had a really hard time humaning.
But you seem very organic now. You seem very earthy now. So you were saying that initially you were up in the ethers.
Yes. And that's why I had to move here. So where I'm at right now, I'm in this town of 4,000 people. It's rural.
Yeah.
It's in this desert, beautiful, but it's all orchards. And I needed something as big organically to ground this part of me.
Yeah.
And that's also been part of my journey, is just really coming into loving this part and this aspect of me, and not wanting to like not be here, because I know that there was somewhere else that we came from that was brighter and lighter and
Yeah.
easier. So a big part of the reason why I had to come back here and why I couldn't go on to this trip is because clearing up our soul fragments. So, you know, we have all these fragments of our souls through all of our, not just this life, but past lives. So we're going through, and I
Yeah.
had a lot of trauma happen for me in the town an hour and a half away. That was really a Kickstarter to my true awakening
In this lifetime.
in this lifetime.
And
And
so how long ago was that?
pretty much 10 years ago, it started.
So your wake up experience or reawakening or whatever started about 10 years ago.
Officially, I would say yes.
Yeah.
But I remember, so my first actual thing that I remember where it's just like, okay, this world is way not what we see it as.
Yeah.
It goes back to as a child, and I remember I'd be like having the TV on at certain points, and the TV would like come off and come on and off and on. And this was like, I was probably 5, and then this one night, so I remember being taken up when I was sleeping. I was 5 or 6 in a ship.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that was my first, like, yeah, it was. So I was laying, all I remember is waking up and being on a gurney and being not strapped down, but being immobile and almost like I couldn't move and I couldn't move my face. I couldn't scream. I tried to scream, but I could move my eyes. And so I just saw all of these beings on this surrounding this gurney table watching me. And I managed to look over to the left, and for some reason I saw my grandpa on another table. So I don't know if that was his projection there to provide me some comfort through this. And then they would come and visit me at night throughout my childhood. I was scared to sleep for probably 30 years of my life because of the activity that would come to me at night.
30
And
years.
I would say when I fully reclaimed my sovereignty, which was on my 40th birthday, which was last year, I had one other episode in December, but that's because I fell back into this grief period and they came, but that's just showing me the power that I have to overcome.
So when you say they came,
yeah,
you fell back into a lower vibrational frequency, and that was the door opened.
yeah,
basically. Okay.
yeah.
But you said you reclaimed your sovereignty. This was that was the last episode. You kind of fell back because you understand. You seem to understand that you dictate all that, I guess is what.
Totally.
So you came right back. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what this journey is, in the whole reclaiming our sovereignty and actually seeing how, this processor here creates what we go through. Yeah. It's reclaiming, it's taking out those programs and it's rising above. And so, even for me, because with these visitations and things that go bump in the night for me, it's overcoming that and also taking my power up above, so I have greater power than what's presenting itself to me. So I am no longer scared of that, because I was so scared as a child. Like those beings from the ship, I could tell when they would land in the backyard, they would come and check on me. They would come, I would hear them run across the deck, and I could feel them come and look out my window. And I slept like under the covers for so many years. I would be tormented in my sleep as a child for so many years, being tossed around energetically in my body. And it took a long time for me to realize how powerful I am, but that's what we're here to do, is to realize the creator that we are.
Right on.
And how we can hold our vibration, and the gift of shining your light and how bright that is. And then once you really are turning it on, the magic that appears, because that's where my life is in this crazy magic zone. And I am so grateful for everything that shows up for me, because it is all a gift. And that's why I share so much of it, is because I want everyone just to take it or leave it. But this is the possibility of the life we are here to live. This is, going into our truth, coming into our hearts, being the love, shining our light, embodying, taking out all those programs that keep us in low vibration, whatever they are. We don't need that fear. That's old. Time to clean our heart up. And that's our responsibility.
I'm digging it. You're a badass, no doubt. So you've had, and I love, one of the reasons I love doing this is because people, they tell their stories, and there's people that are, whatever, coming into the community now. I'm not going to say they're waking up now. It just gets beat up, but they can learn from other people, even because there really is no linear. I mean, this happened to you over 30 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised that, and maybe you did. I mean, I can't imagine you going through 30 years of that and not having a breakdown or ended up in the psych ward or something going on, like many of us. Okay. But you must have had some type of something that you were anchoring in to pull you through all that stuff that was obviously very confusing and traumatic. Did you
And,
have
and
what you would you call benevolent visitations?
I did,
Yeah.
but I would say the first ones I had weren't.
Hmm.
Because as I think about it, and and more information comes to me, but because everyone's like, oh, if it was benevolent, this is the one when I was 5 or 6, you wouldn't be so scared, and I was terrified,
Yeah.
right? And every time I heard them walk on that back deck, I was terrified, and I had my head under the cover. And they really only visited me in that aspect through my childhood. But
Hmm.
then the taunting, I had spirits taunting me a lot. Like I said, energetically, they would toss me around, they'd pick me up. But then the benevolent beings really started, I would say, to show 2 years ago for me. So my so I kind of went through like 10 years of dark night of the soul, 8 years.
So this would have been 30 to 40.
So
That
this is 30 to 40. Yeah.
so 30 to
And
40. So 0 to 30, you're aware this isn't all there is to the reality, and you're getting visitations, and
yeah.
you're seeing energy and experiencing energy, including visitations, both ends of the spectrum and everything in between. That's what it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like. And then you hit 30.
Yeah.
And so this is what, 2010, give or take. And
Yeah.
let me guess, you had a bunch of traumas.
Oh,
You,
you cut out there. Sorry.
I was going to say, let me guess, you had a bunch of traumas leading up to this period. And you hit 30, and the dark nights of the soul start.
Yeah, because for me, I just, as an empath and a highly sensitive, I never wanted to see anyone in pain. I never wanted to see anyone suffering. I never wanted to be a burden. I never wanted to put my problems onto anyone else. I never asked for help. I kept everything inside. My parents,
Did anyone know any of this all these years?
no, because they would think I'm crazy. Right. And, I think like I saw ships when I was younger in the sky, and some, friends there a few times that they saw them with me. And then 10 years ago, um, I was married at the time, and we were driving, and a big, I'm going to call it a mothership, appeared over the lake. And I saw it. So my husband and I at the time, we were driving in separate vehicles, and I pulled over and I'm like, do you see that? Do you see what's in the sky? And he's like, yeah, I see it. So we got into a vehicle. So they unveiled, like they took his veil off to see it. Driving to get a lookout point where we could be with the ship, because I knew I had to be with that ship. And it was like Okanagan Lake, if anyone knows, it's a huge lake. And this ship was huge, and there were lights going around. There was a light shining down in the middle, and then that ship is sort of flashing all over the place. It was huge, and then it would just sit there. And then it started to move, and then we went to go, I'm just like, we need to follow it. So we went to go follow it, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. And we went to my parents the next day, and that night we get home and we're looking on like the news, and on online to see if anyone else has spotted this or seen this. And they hadn't. Yeah, so my parents then, because we were talking about it, and because my husband at the time saw it too. So it's not just me being crazy Jennifer who sees these things. Someone else has witnessed this with me. So that was in about 2011. And in 2018, I would say, so pardon me, I'm going to jump the story. There's so much to talk about here. Probably one of I left my husband. We had a furniture store. We had a furniture store. We got involved with a shyster because I trust everybody and I believe everyone tells the truth and that they don't lie. But anyways, this guy took us. He went bankrupt. So we closed the furniture store. It was like detrimental. My marriage ended. I ended up connecting with who I at that point believed was he was my twin at that time. He's no longer here. He passed 4 years ago. But that really kickstarted my inner work and my inner journey because I thought that I was here to help him and to heal him in his battle and in his own addictions and depressions. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking this one lunch, this would have been about 2013, 2014. And all of a sudden I just saw myself So, my consciousness transcended out of my body. Like I had an out of body experience where I just saw myself walking along the park because I was walking back to work. And that's when I was like, okay, it's like the switch got turned back and we're back into that space of
Man,
greater
fascinating.
ascending, always greater. Yeah. But I
Fascinating.
always knew like the system was never right. Like I knew that from a young
Yeah.
child, and like going to church freaked me out.
Yeah.
Education never made sense to me. I did want to go into government because I thought I was new, like I'm here to change the world and I'm going to go into politics. But that's when I was young and naive, and I really didn't know that system and how it
Yeah.
is. But then, so then I've had other beings and light beings and show up for hours, and different things come. I've had Ra come to
Jeez,
me.
you're like, this is awesome. You know, this is awesome. I mean, of course, I've talked to a lot of people on this show, and there's so many different, but I don't know that. Now, have you? Okay, so you got through all of that stuff, and then the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And then the thing with the videos and the orbs and the colors and the codes starts last March.
Yeah.
And then it starts to expand this year.
Mm-hmm.
So with all the birth of experience that you've had, where are we? What the hell's going on? Where are we going? What do we do? What's your take
Where do
on it?
you want to go, and what
Yeah,
do you want to do?
exactly. I'm just saying, like from your
It's
standpoint, what's your perspective at this point? What's your daily moment by moment? I mean, where are you at with it? Because you look very balanced, and you just
thank you.
described. I've known a lot of people that have gone through a lot of different things, but yours has been a full court press the whole time. It sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you didn't say anything,
Yeah.
for some of the stuff that you went through, that's a lot for the person to take into themselves, but
Oh yeah.
so
No,
where are you at with this thing? I mean, we got all this stuff going on. We got I don't look at I don't give much credence to the global stuff, the COVID, the quarantine, the Q, the Trump, I mean, I know, like you said, there's something more to it. This is just the superficial stuff.
Yeah.
I'm with you and everybody that's here. I'm in for the real thing. And
Yeah.
but with all the stuff that you've been through, I mean, how you've landed, and from your own admission, it seems like you've really landed in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
After all this time.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do it? You're shining, you're balanced. I know, I remember, I don't get to watch everything of anybody, but I pick up on the energy, and of course that's how I found you. And then I remember 3 months ago or something, you were moving, right? And then I remember you did a post, and then there was this whole magical stuff started happening. I just remember the energy of it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen on accident, so I mean, where are you at with this thing?
Well, with what's showing up for me, it's in this place of gratitude and acceptance and love. For me, and we're here to bring ourselves into balance, and everything is a gift to either teach us compassion or will. And then it's merging those components of compassion and will, where we're fully shining through our heart as, the sacred beings of light that we are. That's what it's such an individual journey, though collectively. And, and it's also for me now, it's just, I've thought about this. It's letting go of these stories, because I got caught up in the stories.
Yeah.
Who was I in the past? What were my connections? The Divine Mother, Mother Mary, being this person in Morocco, being a healer here in the plains, and with the past lives. And apparently, I've had 972 lives on Earth before. So, but it's letting go of that story, and it's being present now.
Yeah.
and shining from your heart. And just honestly, I always say, like, we need to shine our, this is the light. We're the lighthouse. Our
Mhm.
heart is that beacon of light. Everything that we do is a gift to help us reclaim our light, our truth of who and what we are. But we have to go through a lot of crap,
Yeah.
because it's like hindsight is 2020. You don't
Mm.
know what that gift is.
Mm.
And this is going back, a couple of years ago, when we're all
Mhm.
going through this crazy mess,
Yeah.
that we're, what the heck is happening with our lives? And to
Mm.
see that the gift that's on the other side. So now we see everything as this beautiful gift, because we've been through that mess. We've been
Yeah.
through the dark night. We know that everything is that reflection to us.
Yeah.
Something is
You're,
holding that mirror to us to help us grow even lighter and brighter in our core, in our essence. And and I'm going to say in the word godliness, and people like take that as you is, but it's that prime source creator aspect that we hold. We are our creators, and we need to start giving our power away. We need to stop expecting all of these peoples, all of these organizations to come and save you.
yeah.
There's just an orb that went up that way.
What's that? An orb
But
just
I
went
just
up that way?
thought, um,
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I talk about obviously we know there's fear-based programming.
mhm,
We all brilliantly designed that, being
mhm,
the major, but there's also this savior-based programming, which is what you're
mhm,
talking about, which is,
yeah,
I don't oppose any particular ideology, or Q or Trump, or it's not that. I'm with you. Where's the value when you're giving your power away to something that can't do it for you?
yeah,
That's dangerous. That's why, to
totally.
me, nationalism, you know,
Mhm,
I'm not an American. I'm a fucking earth citizen. I'm a universal citizen. I'm not going to be tied down to my ethnicity, my color, my gender. I
yeah,
mean, I feel like we're getting to this point where it's all or nothing.
totally.
You're either going to
Right.
play over here, or you're going to go into the abyss,
Yeah,
like so many, you can call it dark nights or whatever, but that's where the whole thing starts to get really interesting. You only find your power in that
mhm.
hellhole.
Oh gosh,
Mhm.
yeah.
You have a
And
sister.
collectively,
You have a sister here who's been on the show. She came on the show, uh, I think 2 or 3 times, but
yeah,
she came on the show last year, early last year, and she'd never been out. And Marita, I'm talking about Marita Shoshan in Israel, and she did this for 20, 25 years. You know, and did the grid work, and had the same story. But I love what she said. It was the same thing you said. She said some of us stay strong through so much shit, and then we
yeah,
make it sane and powerful.
yes. Ooh.
So that,
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
because
started to tone. You just started to tone.
yeah.
Uh, but I guess
And
that's what I was asking earlier. It's like she said, and like you said. So here I am.
mhm,
I've gone through what I thought was hell itself,
mhm.
and I am sane and powerful. And
And
actually, I'm growing more sane and more powerful every day. Now, what do we do with this? What do we do with this? And maybe it goes back to what your question was to me when I asked you the question. What do you want? Who do you want to be with? What do
mhm.
you want to create? Who do
Well,
you want
that's
to
it.
collaborate with?
Because everything, as divine source beings, we're here. It's expansion and creation. That is how the universe works, and that's how we are infinite expansion and creation.
Hmm.
So everything brings us up to that next level of expanding and creating. And from there, we get to go higher in our expansion and creation.
Yeah.
And it's also what brings you your joy. Where are you in your joy? Like when you're in your joy all the time, honestly, I just moved to this town. I don't know anybody here besides a couple of people. I started working again like 4 months ago. I was just like, I'm done with the system. I'm not working. But you know what? I'm working and I'm serving and I am having so much fun doing it because I'm in my joy. It's like I'm not people see me and they're just like, oh my gosh, you're glowing from over there. And I see myself now and my role and more accepting of, you know what, Jennifer, there are people like you who are going and infiltrating your light, not infiltrating, but putting that light in those places. And you're igniting these conversations because I have the opportunity to talk to people and for them to feel the energy and the light and raise their vibration and get them thinking even bigger and broader and expand. Where are we in our joy? We should, the ideal is to always be in this place where we can easily access our joy on our own. Our joy is not dependent upon others because then you are just feeding off of them, right? So it's taking off those tentacles because people, situations, whatever, put it on you and you may have some on others.
Yeah.
But it's being your own vessel. You are in charge for your own energy.
That's right.
You are in charge. And this is the thing. Go straight up to source. You don't actually have to have all these different, there's sort of this bypassing of like, oh, go this way and this way and this way. And honestly, you have the option, you have the opportunity to align your energy straight with source energy. Let that fill you. That is like that is your true divine sovereign gift, is being direct alignment with source energy.
That's right.
Being from love, and this is it. As we all are the vibration of love and that frequency, it just extends and it shines. And this life is beautiful.
Damn
This
right it
life
is.
is beautiful.
Life is the gift, period.
Exactly.
Like you really, really, even with all the divine episodes you've had, I've had, other people have had, the channelings, the transmission, visitations, activations, the whole 9 yards. What do you really know? I don't know shit. Excuse my French, but I don't know. I mean, how do I know that I'm not going to be worm dirt when this body expires? But there's something in me that does know. But you don't know. So you don't know. So I'm with you. I like the you said the expansion, contraction. Some people talk about the 26,000 year cycle. And I look at it this way. And this is going back to what I said earlier. Like, okay, now we know. So what do we do? And it's like, hang 10, Hawaii Kai, I mean, it's like you're at the top of this wave and it's going to contract. And that's not a bad thing. This is just the way it works, to your point. So why not make it good? Make it the best you can make it, because all we have is this. And then the other thing I look at too is I'm with you. I know there's been hundreds of lives. I know that I came from the soil to the minerals, to the, insects, to the whole 9 yards. But there's something about this incarnation that's kind of cool. Like we're in a really, really powerful, maybe it's the end of the cycle of cycles or something, the end of the 26, who knows, but there's something really special. And I'm only going to be Todd and you're only going to be Jennifer one time, as far as I know.
And be Todd and be Jennifer.
Exactly.
Right. And we don't have to go chasing these monikers thinking that we need to like be this or still be that. Hold on to that story when we're here to create our story now, and then if we get too caught up in that past, we're not living now. If, in that fear, and if we're like too caught up in the, oh, this thing is going to like, we're going to have such a beautiful life over here. Why are we not creating that beautiful life here where we are right now? Embodying that, our highest divine aspects, always anchoring in, for me, I'm always going into this, I start my day with these mantras and I continue it throughout and just always ensuring that I am in my highest alignment and my highest divine truth. Like
do you spend most of your time alone?
Yeah.
I figured you did. Yeah. I can relate to that. And in terms of like your, your immediate family, mother, father, whatever, have they seen a change in you in the last year and a half?
Oh yeah. I think they're becoming more accepting.
Yeah.
There was times, honestly, Todd. So my mom came, and I don't know if they're watching this. They know about this, but I don't know if they're watching it. My mom came, and I love my family dearly.
I can tell.
I and my mom came to help me move. Like I moved 14 times in the past 7 years. Like my life has just been one after the
I can
other. But
relate to that. We
they've
have a,
always been there for me, and they've
yeah.
always, in that sense. But there was this point about 3.5 years ago, coming 4 years, my mom came to help me move. And she just couldn't understand what was going on, because this is when I started to become probably more vocal, I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, really when my shit hit the fan and I lost Bo at that time. And but then I was on this, that really kickstarted my healing journey, and knowing that, we only take on what we can actually get through. And if I put so much on my plate, man, I'm bloody strong warrior. And so my mom started to notice this, but they don't understand it. Like, and that we're very much, they love me and I love them, but but they're getting there, right? So I don't need to fall back down. I just, they'll raise themselves. And there's a point where, my mom's like, are you in a cult? Are you in Scientology? Are you this? Are you that? And there was a point where my parents didn't talk to me for about a month and a half. And that was the most heartbreaking thing that I had to go through, because then I couldn't back down and take away all the hard work that I've done. And it's just like, the only thing that I would call, like, I live in my heart. And like, this is what feeds this is my direct connection to my truth, and how I choose to radiate and be. And it was so upsetting because of all these things that I had gone through over, at that point it was these 6 years to have, but that's their fear and that's their programming, and understanding, the lens. Everyone views this world through their own lenses. They've all had their own situations that have come to shape who they are for the work that they're here to do. And then a couple of years after that, when I had my this, like, kind of like a spontaneous Reiki attunement. So I channel divine energy, but it's not even just Reiki anymore. It's just out. And I was giving, and so that's when my mom was just like, oh, maybe there's something more to this. And especially now they're seeing me. I'm always joyfully in this place, except for when things fall off the floor or fall off the wall in the middle of the night and scare me. But I am this, and
What do you think that is? Your energy? Now that you've come this far, I mean, when stuff like that happens.
I know some of it's my energy. I don't think that was. I think I was getting attention, or I was getting called for attention. So
yes. because they know, so to speak, they know that you can pick up on that. In other words, you have access that others might not.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I know when it's my own energy. Because even like a couple of years ago, or like last fall, I was just like, I'm electric, and I set things off. I walk by garage doors and they open. And I walked into this washroom with a coworker of mine after dinner, and the hand dryer started going, the tap started going. I touched a light bulb and it went bright. And
you're lucky your parents didn't bring a Catholic priest in there to try to exercise.
Oh my gosh, I know, but that's the thing, is it's like so many people think I'm like,
I know.
It's the truth, right? And this is the thing, is that we have to get past sort of the dogma that's around all of this, and how this really, a lot of this energy and spirit world has been bastardized in a sense.
Yeah. Well, and you're a perfect example. And there's so many, like watching now that are the same. And that's, well, we've all been called crazy. Some of us have been institutionalized. Some of us have been incarcerated, certainly socially jettisoned out of normalcy. And, but it's the field of our energy it's nothing we're going to say to people. It's just the field and that's why I made the comment or the question about, have your parents noticed the difference, or the people that are closest to you? It's like you said, people notice that you're illuminated. They notice your smile. They notice the energy. And that's what I think is going to do it for people, and they're going to say, well, maybe there is something to this, like your mom, I know, like with my family, If I go back a few years, and they thought I was, they knew he's either going to end up in a mental institution, in prison, or dead, or whatever,
Mhm. Mhm.
But they never took their eye off of it.
Yeah.
They probably may not have admitted it, but they continued to watch it. And I'm watching others. I'm watching others who have been putting in the time a lot longer than I have,
Yeah.
like on par with you, 15, 20 years, and watching the fruits of their labor start to come to fruition, and watching the reaction of those that were their detractors,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And
be,
you and
yeah,
I've had family, and what really helped me also through. So I've had, distant family, like second cousins or this or that I haven't seen in aunts in years and years, but they started to respond and show support and love. And so even though like my immediate family would think I'm knockers sometime, they don't well, they probably still do, but they're more accepting of it. And they actually see, they believe it. I don't know if they know what they're believing, but they know that there's something happening. But it
yeah.
was even just having my surrounding family being like, Jennifer, we see you, and we've known since like you were a little kid coming in. Like I've always had people were always attracted to me as a child, like an energy, and it's just it's owning it now, right?
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
used to you're the person who like everyone comes to for healings, for support, for I've always been that person, but
Have you
now it
have you felt like, recently, like this year, have you felt, um, like that push? Have you felt like it's time to come out? Like it's time to be more public. It's time to be, have you?
yes,
Because a
and
lot
it's
of people,
hard.
yeah, a lot of people have talked about that this year, particularly women that have been in the background,
Yeah,
that they're getting a push. And like, I'll contact them and I'll say, hey, you want to come on the show like I did with you?
yeah,
And they'll be like, I knew this was coming.
yeah.
Like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go, but my higher self's telling me I got to go. That type of
Yeah.
message. Are you feeling that?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been like that for a while. I would say I've been feeling that for about the last year
Hmm.
and a bit that it's been coming through. For me, I have no doing lives. Like actually this is pretty easy for me because I don't see people and sort of that like
Yeah.
this scroll and this so this is much more comfortable. Whereas if I do a live, it's like I can sit there for like 40 minutes
Hmm.
ready to press a button, ready to press a button. And I have everything that needs to come through. Like, and it's all there. And it's just that fear of, it's a fear of putting myself out there. And because it's never like, it's not to be interpreted as a place of ego. Like, and that's what I'm still kind of scared that
Hmm.
that's going to come through
Yeah.
as.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, being
Well,
more
no,
comfortable.
you do a good job. You do a great job. And and it is, um, I was talking to this lady yesterday, Michelle Anderson, who's been in podcasting for over 10 years. I think her and Eric Rankin have, I believe, the number one radio show
Oh,
at that
wow.
particular radio station in Southern California. And, but she said, I still get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I still get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think but yeah, I think that's the part of we're owning it. Like you talked about, it's time to own it, but
Yeah.
we can't forget to own the human, right? I mean, that nervousness is real. There's nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
it. Nothing to be ashamed of. And believe me, I've shown my ass so many times, especially in the early days. And I had this thing where I would say, I can't delete anything,
Yeah.
pretty much do one take, go, boom, you're done, and I
Yeah.
know what you're saying too, because you get ready to go on, and you've got all this stuff going like that. And you're like, how am I going to remember this? And then, this, I think, is part of the transition, is to move into that space of spontaneity,
Yes.
as opposed to, let me figure this out. Let me write some notes and
Totally.
some bullet points.
Yeah.
You know,
There's never a script, right? Like there's never, it's like, oh, I need to talk about this and this and this. And the thing is, once you press and go, and then it's fine. It's just that it's just that starting point, because then everything's just like streaming in and just needs to like get out there. So it's and I know that this is coming and it'll be more, but again, it's just like we're at such a beautiful time where we actually get to merge. Like I did a video on this a couple of ago where, you know, it's the human and the soul, and like we're coming to that center point here,
Yeah.
right? We're bringing
Yeah.
these two bodies, all of our bodies together,
Yeah.
you know, in wholeness, in our completeness, in our alignment, and creating and living in joy and love and inspiring. Like all we can do is inspire.
Yeah.
It's up to everyone to do, you know, their own work, if they so choose. And that's the thing, is that everyone still has a choice, and they can still choose to be in the victim, the victimizer, like those archetypes of conscious enslavement, as I like to call it. But they also have the choice to free themselves from their own prisons.
Does the global stuff, does it enter your field? Does it bother you at all? Do you even think about it? Are you past it? Are you
Like what's happening?
just any, you know, like, you know, just the political stuff, the rumors, the Q, the virus, the, you know, wearing a mask. Does
no,
it?
well,
Because you look like you spend a lot of time in that beautiful universal isolation, connection, communion, and you're just focused. You're focused on your field and growing. I mean, does it even enter your mind? Because it's challenging a lot of people right now.
so I would say it has entered my mind now, only because I'm actually working at a place where we have to be conscious of it.
You have to wear a mask.
I will not wear a mask.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No, and that's like, it's just no, because I'm doing this. I have a lot of joy in what I'm doing, which is really, really beautiful right now. But it's like 20 years of building a career, and then I go to something as simple as serving, and I'm in my full heart.
Yeah.
And so I don't that, but you know what? I'm not going to deny. I've seen and I've been shown a lot of the dark stuff that, like, you know, in astral time and satanic ritual abuse and sacrifice. Like I've seen that, and I've had to go there to help and to hold the light. I know it's real, and this is the thing. You can have awareness, right? We can totally hold that awareness as to what's happening, but we don't need to give our energy into that. No. And I think, you know, we don't have to, that's not bypassing it. It's totally being aware, but then we're just transmuting, and we're holding that higher light. We're holding that higher vibration.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, and I think this is at some point, like I said, I think it's going to go to an all or nothing scenario in regard to any aspect of, you know, and I think to remember that, you know, whoever it is, whatever soul we're observing or whatever, that's not bypassing either. They chose that experience. They wanted that experience, you know? So I don't know, you know, it's been interesting to see as things have gone on this year, how much of a hold that these things have on, you know, a good percentage of the light worker community. Yeah. You know, like, hey, you don't agree with this, delete yourself right now. Like, you know, it's like every day you see those. I'm like, man, now how does that work? But and it's good for me, or good for, you know, to me, for us, because we can look at our own judgments. We can work, you know, on refining our position in the 0 point field, and, you know, I don't know. It's just interesting to see the impact as the chaos is, you know, running to one extreme, and the awareness is running, you know, just as strong, just as powerful. It's really
and it came to me, was it yesterday or today? It's just, you know, we're all pulling each other up, right? So now there's almost this level, because I was all like about that a couple years ago.
We all were. That's like the door to awakening is going, exactly. Hey man, so 9/11 was, what do you mean? Or, you know, like, what are you talking about? Underground bases, and, you know, what?
So there's all these others who are in that place now, right?
Yeah.
Because they are in that's their journey they're going through.
Yeah.
That's their awakening process. That's them understanding and seeing the dark and the light. And then that's them. So we're all like, it's just, there's all these layers, all these steps. And so now we're all just like, boom, we took a step. Boom, we took a step. But there's still people who are the steps, and it's not, it's not linear. It's just like it's cyclical, like, it's going around. And so we're all in this time space, but we're all having these different experiences through our projections, through our own manifestations of how we're creating this reality. And it's all, nothing is right and nothing is wrong.
True that.
Everything just
And again, it's beyond, it's not bypassing what you're saying.
mm-hmm.
You're just saying what it is.
Yeah.
And so quick questions. I'm just curious what your take is on, do you think Star Family's going to land openly, make contact, that narrative's going to go, or do you think it's going to remain to be kind of on a one-to-one basis in our bedrooms and on our walks?
So they've come to me and shown a couple of years ago one possible timeline as well with that, where it was mass landings. I shouldn't say mass landings, but landings in sort of, but the clouds coming down, because I know I'm on that transition team to reintroduce our galactic family.
Mm-hmm.
And the clouds came down, and just, but you know what, we have to be in our hearts.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, because we have to match their vibration.
That's right.
Right. So if we're in this place of fear, whoops, I caught my bracelet. No, they're not. Like, why would they put themselves in that? That's such bull. So it's coming and it's holding the highest heart. It's holding the highest, intention of love and light, and knowing that there is no fear.
Yeah.
Knowing that, there is this oneness of what we all are. And I think there's people whose vibrations, even just some of the orbs, like I see at night, and some of the things that they're still appearing, they're showing themselves to us. Yeah. They are making that contact. Yeah. Is it going to be what the media puts out there to be? Is it going to be that narrative no, because I don't believe what you see on TV.
I agree.
Like, honestly, if you're a light worker, turn the TV off.
Yeah. Yeah, we just, I didn't even know TVs were so cheap now. We finally got a place after all this time. We got our own place here in Arkansas. And so we went to Walmart and we got a TV. But we didn't get it to watch TV. We got it to watch, because we usually watch on computer. We'll watch Outlander or Vikings or something to help us process, not have to think about. But so it was nice having a big TV and being able to. We watched Powder the other night. You ever seen that movie Powder, about that kid that gets?
Oh, that's an old movie.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it amazing? And the ending where he's walking through the field and the lightning hits him and he gets pulled up.
Yeah. I cry. Yeah.
That was a good movie. I usually cry, but I didn't cry on that one. I was too tired. So what do you we were running over a little bit. You don't mind, do you?
Oh, no.
Okay. So what are you getting into? I mean, do you know, or are you just playing it day by day, or do you have any?
Day, moment by moment, honestly, like, since I've come here, it's letting go of the fear. It's letting go of that control. I'm trusting what the universe brings in my direction. And because I'm doing everything through my open heart and shining and being as bright as I can, and knowing that with that, the path unfolds each moment that I walk it in my highest, most divine truth. And, I do energy work. I do.
You're an energy practitioner. You work with people. You do sessions.
Well, I do. So before I was just doing it on friends or people here and there, but then people started to request sessions. And this is again where just the universe just kind of brings it into, okay, so now you're ready to put yourself out there for this. So I do work with people, absolutely. And for me, it's just reconnecting people to their heart and reminding them and helping them find that light that they are again. And so I channel just divine source energy, and so I can hold them in that safe space and being that beautiful mirror for them to just truly have that space of reflection and unconditional love and support. You know, and I never knew, I've done that with people for so many years without even knowing that that's what I was doing, right? And but now, yeah, so in just also channeling and just, yeah, holding that.
What is the most intense, or, you know, what's the most extraordinary divine episode you ever had?
Oh,
I'm just curious. Or one of them. Anything jump out?
Yeah, well, two. So I'm going to say two because it's both aligned with the same person. So this was November 2018. I was with a really beautiful soul. This is going to get a little personal. But we were laying in bed and all of it, and this was the first time that we were together, and in that way. And these green orbs start to, well, first he would touch my skin and I would sparkle green. Green light would be coming off my skin. And then I saw like the flower of life in sparkly light appear on his cheek. And then all these green orbs started to appear on the ceiling and move around.
Seeing it? Was he seeing it too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they showed it to him too.
Yeah.
And then there is this glowing triangle in the bookshelf and these like white orbs going up and down the wall. That lasted for about 4 hours. We just laid in bed and watched them. And then he broke up with me because he called me batshit crazy.
Yeah, you probably scared the living shit out of him.
Oh, I do. This is why it's like.
But that sounds like there was a, you know, like a sacred sexual vibration, or at least momentarily, Arioscamos, whatever, you know, because Morgan and I have experienced stuff like that, you know, and other things. But when, you know, it fascinates me because when there's two people, you know, it's one thing, like in my early days, you know, things would happen to me and I'd tell people, and they're like, oh man, that's dad, you know, here he goes again, you know, Jesus was in the trees, 12-foot angels, and, you know, this and that. But when you're experiencing that with someone else, and you're seeing the same thing, you know, what was the other one?
Okay, wait, before I do that. So so he was, so he grew up Jehovah's Witness too. So he thought that
you grew up Jehovah's Witness?
No, not me. He did.
Oh, okay.
So, and he left it. So then he has all this like crazy stuff happening with me. So then he broke up with me and called me batshit crazy. Anyways, I can laugh about this now because it's such a gift. And then that night though, he's like, the only way I'm not going to think that you're crazy is if they come back again. And so went to bed, and that night the light beings came back. And this time, so this was about 6 months later.
And he's with you.
He's with me.
Okay.
We're sleeping upstairs. I had a loft in Vancouver, so big 18-foot windows. And all of a sudden I saw this like spark, these lines on his cheek again, and he was sleeping. And then this bright light, there's this huge flash outside my window, high up. And then right below where that flash is, I had my like security sensor light that would, that big bright flash would go off, and then my security light would go on. So, and then this big bright flash. So there's no way anything could be where this is because it's like 15 feet above the ground, but this huge flash, and it would like light up the top floor of my space where I was living. And then I started to see this red dot in the corner of the room. And it was almost like, I could feel like it was almost scanning the room. And then downstairs through, I don't know if it was actually going through my speaker, because I had my little Bose speaker down in the corner, but then came through raw.
Was he awake?
So I was like, oh my. So I tried to awaken him, and he's just like, ugh, and he wouldn't wake up. So it was like, so what happened though, then from that, so raw was down making this noise
Yeah.
downstairs for like 20 minutes. The lights are going off. Then all these lights start appearing on the ceiling. So that red light would then fly over to the middle, right over me. They wouldn't go over by him. They'd come right over me and they would start to drop down. So one by one, all these lights started to appear again in my room. And then that single red light, it was like a laser, and it would go almost like, if you think of like a Lego, how it has, you know, the little pieces. So that one singular light would then expand into, I call it like a round Lego. And then that light would then go and expand into quantum light. So then I would see all of the different colors and fractals of the light source coming through. And I had all these lights would come over me, and then it was almost like the constellations, the galaxy was dropping into me because they were red and they all turned white and they all fell down.
So does he
going into my knees?
Does
it
he
lasted
still
about 4 hours.
does he still think you're batshit crazy?
Yeah.
So you delivered what he asked.
Yeah.
And he still says he's just scared.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Janie Hodges says he'll come back for more.
Well, this is the people, it's just like they're enamored by it at first, like of just who I am and how I live my life. But most, you know, I live a very different life.
Well, you're among those like you here.
Yeah. I know, and that's why I'm so grateful for you and for everything that you have done, because your shows, you putting yourself out there, you bringing the people who I needed to help me through my journey, and so many of us to help us through our journey, to know that we aren't alone. Thank you, brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Honestly.
Thank you. I'd love to collaborate with you again. I think you got a lot to offer, and let me just say big props to you for what you're doing, because it's real, it's real. And I think you've reached a lot of people. So thank you very much. And thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence and entertaining us with your little snippets of your life. And I would love to collaborate with you if you're up for it down the road later in the year. And, okay, cool. So you take care. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Peace.
All right. And if you come to Arkansas, give us a call.
I shall. All right. Take care.